Hey everyone, Happy New Year. Sorry that I haven't uploaded in a while. It was a hectic holiday season and I was sick a couple times over the holidays. But we're back now with a very special video. So, for those of you that don't know, most of you who already know me personally or have seen my videos before will know I'm an aspiring singer and I'm a lifelong fan of Yu Gi Oh! And Pokemon. So, what we have here is the Heart of the Cards podcast hosted by Dan Green and Eric Stewart, who are both voice actors on Yu Gi Oh! And Pokemon in the English dub. Dan Green was the voice of Yugi and Yami Yugi or Tem, as well as the voice of Mewtwo, Entei, Trico, and some others. And in Yu-Gi-Oh, Eric Stewart was Seto Kaiba, and in Pokemon, he was Brock and James. So they have a podcast where they talk about inspiration, creativity, and stuff like that. And again, as an aspiring singer, it's been a source of inspiration and wisdom for me. Every week. Um, Listening to them talk about the experiences they had growing up that shaped who they are. Because before Dan Green was a voice actor, he did stage theater productions and stuff like that. And Eric Stewart, in addition to being a voice actor, is a singer, a guitar player, a director, all kinds of stuff. So what they did was they asked fans to submit letters to them on their website, adromedproductions.com. You can go submit one now if you want, if you're also a Yu-Gi-Oh! Pokemon fan and stuff like that. And also Dan Green was Knuckles in Sonic X. So I wrote them a letter talking about, I'm an aspiring singer, lifelong fan of both shows, fan of your work. And they read my letter on air and reacted to it. And that's what we're going to watch. Recognized by literal voices of my childhood. Like if you had told like 6 or 7 year old me when these shows were first airing on TV that this would happen like 20 years later, I think he would have told you were out of your mind. So I'm I can't believe this happened. Thank you, Dan Green. Thank you, Eric Stewart, for making my childhood fucking awesome, and also taking the time. And thank you for the podcast, and thank you for taking the time to read my letter and react to it. So that's what we're going to be reacting to right now. Let's dive in.
Up, we have a letter from Seamus.
Oh. That's me.
And Seamus says, "Hi, Dan and Eric. I'm a huge fan of your podcast. Oh, that's so nice.
Thank
to hear.
you.
And a lifelong fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon. I'll try to keep this brief. In the event you share this on the podcast, well, guess what? We are.
Mm-hmm.
But there's absolutely no pressure to do so. As a child, I watched both anime religiously and collected the trading cards with a passion. Believe it or not, it took me a long time to realize."
I tell on myself here with the. I feel like such an idiot for this,
but there's absolutely no pressure to do so. As a child, I watched both anime religiously and collected the trading cards.
This is where I tell myself.
Believe it or not, it took me a long time to realize Kaiba and Brock were voiced by the same person.
Surprise!
Surprise!
At school, Pokemon was very popular, but Yu-Gi-Oh! Took a back seat.
Sure
I
did.
got bullied for liking it. Nevertheless, that series in particular was an escape. It took me until my young adult years to realize it. But the duality between Yugi and Yami's relationship is so compelling. Yami teaches Yugi about courage and standing on his own 2 feet. In return, Yugi teaches Yami about compassion. But neither attempts to change the other into something they're not. They both mold each other into the best versions of themselves. As a kid dealing with the bullies at school and occasionally family strife at home, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a portal to another world. I would line up my toys, build 2 decks of cards, and have them duel each other. My
That's like one of my absolute favorite childhood memories is doing that with my toys.
imagination could run wild from there. I owe the late, great Takahashi Sensei an enormous
Rest in peace.
gratitude for the wondrous world he created, because it was a catalyst for creativity in my own life. Today, I'm an aspiring singer. You know something about that, right?
Yeah.
I'd say you're way past aspiring. I attended and participate in an open mic every Tuesday.
Wow.
I won't brag or say, right? You've done those too.
Here's a joke for me.
I won't brag or say I'm the best thing since the Eric Stewart Band. But music is a vital and important art form to me, and I take it very seriously. Especially in the wake of the pandemic and some.
Before we go any further, I will just say that I also cite Kobe Bryant coming up. Of course, you guys who know me personally, Kobe Bryant was my favorite basketball player. He was my hero. And so the thing with the Heart of the Cards podcast that Dan and Eric have, they cite Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey, as a template for the conversation that they have every week. Kobe himself also, cited The Hero's Journey from Joseph Campbell as a template and a structure for motivation in his own life as a basketball player and other creative veins. So I just want, because I throw in a quote from Kobe Bryant here coming up, so I just want to make that correlation.
Turbulence in my personal life, I felt more compelled than ever to seek out things I love and to never pass up opportunities.
There it is.
I'm reminded of a quote from the late great Kobe Bryant. Being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it. I have moments where
Rest in peace, Mamba.
And I have moments where the effort I put into my craft isn't where it should be. But the spark to create and perform never wavers and drives me to the best that I can be. In this light, the lessons I learned from Yu-Gi-Oh! About believing in yourself are more important than ever. I'll close by saying your podcast has also been a source of profound inspiration every week. It's a joy and a pleasure to hear the voices that shaped my childhood, offering advice that's even more resonant to my adult life. I also appreciate tips and tricks providing us 4 pieces of advice for the price of 3. Hearing you guys talk about your formative years and the experiences
I'm glad Dan likes my sense of humor.
You are today is very profound, and I can't thank you enough for the wisdom you provide. With that, I'll place 1 card face down on the field and end my turn. Thank you for making my childhood awesome, and thank you for your amazing podcast that does so much more for me than I can properly express. Take care, Seamus. It's your move. P.S. What does Pot of Greed do?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I never heard of that card.
No. Wow, what an amazing letter.
Seriously.
Thank you, Eric.
It's true that he can't properly express that, because I thought that was very properly expressed.
Oh,
yeah.
Shucks.
And something that seems to be, unfortunately, a recurring.
Although I'm not sure if Seamus is male or female.
Male.
Run it back then.
I was going to say the unfortunate thing that keeps popping up in some of the letters and some of the stories that have been shared with us is this bullying that goes along with finding interest in something that is different. It's a card game, it's a cartoon, it's not what I like to watch, so it must be wrong. And I don't understand that approach to life. But I have to give these people, these fans, a lot of credit, because
Thank you, Eric.
even with that going on, it didn't stop them from participating and following
Never.
something that they enjoyed.
Right.
And in life, there will always be the masses, but just because the majority of people think something, that doesn't necessarily mean that's the only way to think, and it also doesn't mean that it's the right way to think.
100%.
And also, people's opinion, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. like the idea that someone would give me a hard time because, I liked a certain musical artist as opposed to something else that was cooler, or quote unquote cooler, or more rock and roll. No, I mean, I think that is just another way for people to try to cut you down and better themselves, because they probably have some low self-esteem. And so,
absolutely,
having this strength to be doing this on your own, or maybe finding the very few other people that like what you like, and connect with them.
I will say I do have a few friends that like Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, but I didn't really meet them until much later, like either my late teens, early 20s.
With also dealing with the knuckleheads, the idiots.
They are, aren't they?
I'm impressed.
Thank you, Eric.
I mean, it angers me that that's part of the process, but it also impresses me that these letters show that they got through that, and whether the show or or
It
whatever
helped.
inspiration
They
they
both
got from
did.
that helped along the way. Fantastic. But it seems that the majority of these people got through that on their own, from their own strength.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That means so much
And
to me.
a couple things that stand out. Bullying is one of them. And I hear many of those stories probably because Yugi exemplifies part of that struggle.
100%.
But another thing is the escape.
Mm-hmm.
The importance of having a place you can go in your imagination, which is probably the largest territory we all have within us, that
It's a wonderful
can help
place.
when other things around you are challenging, or as Seamus said, there's strife at home, um, and difficulty, with bullying at school, and having that place where you can go, where you feel safe, where you feel inspired, where you feel you're gaining strength.
Yeah, I mean, not for nothing, but like we watch these shows every Saturday morning on Kids WB or Cartoon Network or whatever. I mean, we let these characters into our home. And when you watch them and follow their journeys, it's like you come to care about them and care about what happens to them. So, I mean, it's funny that a lot of us got bullied for liking this stuff, but it's like we came to cultivate such an emotional connection with these characters, and of course, the and brilliant voice acting performances from Dan Green, Eric Stewart, and others like Veronica Taylor, who was the voice of Ash Ketchum. I mean that certainly helps to elevate the experience.
From it is so essential, I think, when you're definitely in your formative periods, but even beyond that, we need respites, we need refuge, we need places where we can find some courage or at least some relief from stress, which is never ending, and stress has obviously been unlike any other levels we're used to. The pandemic is better controlled now, but clearly it's not over.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it were, it still would have been a huge chapter, a crater in our culture, not just
Yep.
in the United States, obviously, but worldwide. And having these places where we can find some strength is great. And I also deeply appreciate that Seamus cited the podcast as providing some of that same reinforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And when you and I were talking about what do we want to do with this podcast, we were very clear when we came to the decision to do it the way that we are, that we're making a podcast that the fans aren't asking for.
Right.
I love it.
If we were to predict what that would be, then yes, we would be reviewing the episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Sure.
Or we would be talking more exclusively about anime and voiceover. And I'm not saying we won't do podcasts that are like that, but this podcast isn't that kind of conversation. And I really appreciate that the people who are following it are receiving it in the way that we intend. And I'm also really grateful that Seamus is reflecting it has some use, it has some meaning that matters.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Seamus also discusses the fact that not only did the show give motivation for creativity, or seeing
Right.
that, but has taken this and and followed through with Seamus has chosen to become a singer and participates in an open mic, and that's
Right.
that's really fantastic, because those are the kinds
That
of
excites
things,
me.
yeah, and those are the kinds of things that you might be intimidated by,
Yeah.
if you let some of this other negative energy bring you down or tell you you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And
You can bully yourself out of something.
sure, but
Yeah.
it seems like Seamus has said, you know what? I see the benefit of following in your passion and your inspiration, and um, it's fantastic. And once again, it doesn't matter if you become a famous musician or whatever you're after. Just enjoy that journey. Enjoy the fact that you're doing that. An open mic is a scary, wonderful thing. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
people might not know who you are, and you're getting up there and singing a song you might have written, or your interpretation of a well-known song,
That's me.
and who knows what's going to happen. But you know what, you're doing that, and I think that's wonderful that the combination between the show and hearing inspirational messages have motivated you to follow in your own passion. That's great.
Yeah, I think that's probably the greatest reward I can receive
So
in
funny.
motivation to have this podcast, this conversation, and to clarify something that's probably understood. You and I don't feel like we're the pinnacle of achievement.
No.
You are.
By any stretch of the imagination.
No.
But you and I are grateful for our lives and what we have. And being able to contribute something that's positive, that helps people take their own risks that will pay off perhaps in that way, is really what drives us to do the podcast week to week. And we've said it before, creativity is its own reward. You say it's not the destination, it's the journey.
Yep.
And while those may sound like cliches, that doesn't take away from the fact that they're absolutely true.
Yes. So awesome. Great.
Thank you, Seamus.
Yes. All right. So
Thank you, Dan Green and Eric Stuart. This has to be a top 10 moment of my life. The literal voices of my childhood reacting to something I wrote to them and like receiving it so warmly and offering like words of encouragement and advice and like appreciating it and saying good things about it. I'm so blessed to be on this timeline. But that's going to do it for this video. Thank you, Dan and Eric. And thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, subscribe. And like I said, if you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, or you just want some general inspiration about creativity and stuff like that, if you're a singer, you're a poet, you're a comedian, you're an artist, whatever it is you're doing, and you need some inspiration and motivation, definitely check out the Heart of the Cards at the Andromeda Productions YouTube channel, and write them a letter at andromedaproductions.com. And of course, like I said, they cite Joseph Campbell, The Hero's Journey, as a structure for their conversations. So they can certainly, even if you're not a fan of like Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, or Sonic or whatever, their conversations can certainly be an olive branch, I guess, for inspiring you, offering you wisdom and advice. It certainly has been for me. But thank you guys so much. Thank you, Dan and Eric. You guys are fucking awesome. And that's gonna do it for me. We'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, everyone.